Hey guys, Mike here. So definitely an interesting day in the market, and if you want to see what that strike on the ports is going to be doing here, then you can see right here, this is coming out of Costco. I'm not sure if you've seen this happening in your area, but people start to hoard at the worst time possible, of course, because a lot of storm victims need a lot of resources, but that's not going to happen. Look at that guy right there with all the toilet paper and paper towels. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you see right here happening because they realize we lived through 2020, right? So we know what's coming if this strike actually delays even more, okay? So obviously we had non-farm payrolls from ADP come in, actually much higher than expected. They actually revised, I think, last month up to 103,000, which is kind of surprising. So you think the market wouldn't like that, but the chart's so a different deal. We're going to get into a lot of stuff here, okay, like where money's flowing to and stuff like that today in this video. And you can see right here, I like to do this. This is from Goldman Sachs, right? They're actually going to make a prediction on the exact day of when this rally should start, this year-end rally. And so they're betting for the SPX to go to 6,000, but it's supposed to be on October 27th. Which is where you get this exact rally up. So I'm going to put up my phone, we'll mark it and see if they're even close to this prediction. But I love when people actually pick an exact day to see where this rally is going to go. So we'll see if that's correct. Let me know what you think, if it's going to kick in October or wait till November, or there's going to be no year-end rallies. Let me know down on the bottom. But you can see inflows, man. I mean, look at this. This is Q3 ETF flows. And you can see that right there is around $501 billion last quarter going into ETFs in one quarter. You can see that's never happened before. And you look at last week. Wow, what do we got going on there? Where are they putting the money? Large caps, $12 billion. Global. I wonder which part of the globe that's going to. Could that be China, almost $5 billion? I'll bet you money that's where it was heading, though. No doubt. You can see they sold small caps, mid caps, bonds, you name it, everything else going down. And so I think it's the second week in a row we've seen this, where you're seeing them go into the large cap stocks, okay? Because why? They're a lot safer to be in than a lot of these other stocks. And so that's why you see IWM kind of weighing down right now, not really doing too much of anything, weaker than the Qs and stuff like that. But when you look at the futures, and we're going to get into all those charts in a minute, especially Tesla, you can see what we talked about last night kind of came to fruition, right? We had this trend line, we got a couple bounces, finally fell through, ends up holding this shaded area we talked about, need to be held. That held through the night. And then, of course, we got rejected off that same trend line. We rallied up going into lunch, got multiple rejections there. And then the rest of the day was kind of like, bleh, whatever, whatever happened. And so I'm going to leave this trend line where it's at. Because if it comes back up, that will be resistance. And we kind of figured when you got this rejection right here, right? I think it was right after lunch. There was a lot of confluence here, right? You came up, and I put this in Discord early this morning, saying, "Hey, let's see if we get up here," because it puts us at past the 0.5 fib, right? So in a discount range, trend line of resistance, another level of resistance. You look to the left and see it right there. There's a lot of confluence for the rejections, and we just never came back up to even try to test it again. Okay, just wasn't nothing going on there. But what we're looking at tonight is simple. Do we hold the shaded area if they try to sell us back down? Okay, they've showed the bulls that they are willing to step in at that point in time. Okay, and so that needs to be broken. If that breaks, obviously, again, then you get more downside. The bears will really pounce then. For more shorter term time frames as well tonight, I want to see if this trend line is going to hold up. We're getting bounces right here. So we're kind of in this channel right here. So I want to see if they start to push this channel up. They kind of pushes up at the very end of the day. And so if that trend line breaks, I expect to come down and visit the shaded area again, which, is a decent move down overnight. So, I mean, around 0.75% if it happens. And then if we move up, not quite as much to the upside, but if it does break that trend line, I expect this larger trend line, which has been in place now for, I think, close to a week, if I'm not mistaken. Goes back to the 26 right there, but you can see major rejections down, kind of put us in this trend down right here, as you can see. Plus, there again is those large fair value gaps right there, right, which is where this thing is like a magnet. Those things are a magnet, excuse me, to try to push up. So that's what I'm looking for on NQ tonight. We'll see how they want to do it. Now Qs. You can see right here this trend line. So far, we rejected 3 times. Looking for a 4th rejection. Now I want to see if they're going to start wedging. Right, just kind of wedging us down. Not a lot of movement. It is October. You got volatility. And if we break that shaded area, which is the gap, and fill the whole gap, that kind of lets me know, yes, they're going to wedge us down. And we may have a chance to hit that bottom trend line. Maybe not. We'll see. SPX, 3 levels to really watch out here for. 5710, you can see right away is an important level, right? They keep using this support resistance. And so, again, 5710 is going to be a big one. I think it goes back here. There's a couple more spots right there. So mark 5710 on there. Don't want to lose that. Obviously, every time we lose it, have a nice dip down. Below, you can see I'm actually going to move this trend line up right here to around what looks to be 56.75. You can see that's been nice support. So if you lose 57.10, look for 56.75 to hold up as support. And then above, if we bounce from here and start heading higher, I'm going to put a short-term trend line right here on this wick right here. So that'd be around 57.30. Be a good area to look right there for resistance before we start to sell back down, if that is the case. So again, 56.75, 57.10, and then 57.30, I believe is what I said. All right, and you can see why the Q's led and the SPY was just flat all day, right? And so you got Soxel up there, nice day for them. XLK, XLE wasn't too bad, right? But a lot of tech stuff happening here. Sounds like the Qs were much better off today than the SPY. You might notice Tesla, what it do? Puked, right? Gap down this morning, came back down in the shade area finally, which is nothing but a daily fair value gap. So we filled that now. Tapped into a smaller gap right there at the bottom before recovering. I'll show you exactly why this absolutely recovered. I'll show you in just a second. But what happened was, I put in the Discord, the deliveries, right? There was kind of some conflict. Did they beat? Did they not beat? But they said, okay, this came out this morning. 463,900 was the estimate. They barely missed it. It was a small miss. So, you know, crazy move back down. Some people thought the estimates were 461,000. Who knows? Again, it was much better than what they've been reporting. So, you know, overall, it was actually a really good number. But when you look, what we're going to do is pull up this trend line here, and we're going to show you a logarithmic scale. So, you know, if I come back here and I turn it off, you'll see the difference, right? Because this goes back to 2021, so a long period of time. And you can see you got multiple touches as we come down. And when we move over here, you'll see to the penny, when it came down this morning, it hit that trend line right there. And that's where it got the bounce, okay? And did not go back below it. And so the key is for that trend line to hold up. If it does not hold up, you can go ahead and bet your bottom dollar 232, 235, somewhere in that area, the bottom of that channel is where we're probably going to be heading to. But again, it held it. Now what we got to do is get through the midline of this channel. There's a gap above. And so looking at it tomorrow, we'll see, you know, because in October, like I said, it's going to be volatile. And you can see the news isn't having the same effect as it was having last month, right? So good news, you think, oh, they're going to rally this thing up. Well, now they're not really doing much of nothing with that news. Okay, it's just extremely big swings down, big swings up, right? A lot of people playing the gamma and stuff. And so just watch to see if that middle trend line in that channel gets broken or the larger trend line I showed you. Now, it wouldn't be a day without, of course, Chinese stocks going absolutely berserk, as you can see right here, just craziness. I didn't see any more stimulus come out. And of course, here comes the big boys. I knew Ray Dalio would be coming out sooner or later. And of course, he's like, hey, you know, China's surge of market stimulus will be a historic turning point for the world's second largest economy and blah, blah, blah. But I'll be honest with you, the only person I think has bragging rights right here is Michael Burry, because I believe he started buying in the first quarter. It might have been second quarter, but I know he started buying this year, I thought. And so he wasn't buying like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and people were saying, buy, buy, buy. And they've been buying BABA down from like 200 on into the 60s for crying out loud. And so, you know, of course, 45% of his portfolio is those three stocks. So he's feeling pretty happy. I'm sure people that invested in his ETF or whatever he runs, his little hedge fund, is absolutely happy for sure, because they're moving on up right now, like the Jeffersons and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that right there makes more sense than these people who've been saying for 2.5 years, you got to get in BABA, man. It's all about the fundamentals. And they're sitting there saying, oh, it's fundamentals moving these stocks up. Give me a break. It is stimulus, people. We all know it's stuff what that is. These companies have had plenty of cash on hand. Their multiples have been absolutely destroyed and they're low because the stocks have gone down 70 to 90%, some of them, right? And so it's not fundamental moving these stocks up. It's the bazooka of stimulus that China is putting out there. And I even read where the investment firms over there or around in these Asian countries are staying up 24/7 because everybody's trying to open up, you know, trading accounts and everything else and investment accounts so they can start buying these stocks. And plus hedge funds from over here are buying hand over fist. I showed you Tepper, and you can guarantee the rest of them are doing it too. And that's why you're seeing this crazy move. And when you look at HSI, which is their index, one of these charts will blow you away. But here is that resistance now, right? You would think maybe you get a breather, but look back here when we come out of the 08 crash. I mean, you saw that move, right? That was a crazy move for an index to make in such a short amount of time, but it still doesn't match what we got going on right now. Okay, it took like 175 days to go up 60% on this index. Right now, this thing has gone up, I believe, in like, is it 7 days? 21 days, it's gone up almost 30%. And so, you know, that's amazing. So, you know, unbelievable. Shorts have been crushed for sure. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see if this is going to be resistance. It really should be more of a zone on here. You can see it. But again, to get back to all-time highs, as fast as moving, this is one of those indexes that basically been trading sideways. Remember, their stock market don't mean anything to them, to be honest with you, versus like what our stock market means to us. It's all about the real estate market for them. But what really will blow you away is guess which index performs the best? The S&P, the NASDAQ, or is it the HSI? And it's the HSI year to date by a country mile, just because it's crazy moving. Look at that. Nobody would have guessed that. I mean, let's be real. Put in the comments. Nobody would have guessed that. That's unbelievable. Because if you go back like a year, just a year, so add like 4 months onto this, it's way below what our indexes were. Okay, by almost was it like 10%? And so that just shows you the crazy move we have seen. It feels like almost 2020, right? And so again, what do we got going on tomorrow? Unemployment claims are going to come out. ISM services PMI is going to come out. Factory orders are going to come out. No earnings to worry about. The big one will be on Friday when we get unemployment rate to see if it's going up or down. And I would say, hey, if the unemployment rate comes in good, you'll get a major rally. But the truth is, that's not what happened today, right? They went into tech and the Mag 7 and all this other stuff, right? And into semiconductors, not small caps, not stocks on the S&P and stuff. And we'll talk about breadth and everything tomorrow and really show you some charts that might shock you a little bit. But, you know, hopefully you guys got some out of this. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you did. Let me know what you're doing in this market. I always love reading the comments and stuff. Appreciate all you guys who share the video. It really means a lot and everything. And so, again, feel free to sign up for the membership if you want to. You can see what you get right there. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another fun one. And by the way, put your questions in the comments if you have any questions for Saturday's video, okay?